The One Celtic fans view this evening, Monday the 30th of June. We're only hours, days away from Celtic's first game, first pre-season game of the summer. And an interesting comment by one of the coaching staff, which I thought was a bit, I can understand why he said it, but let's see if you can figure out who said this. You want to be part of the process. It's not absolutely vital that you go and win all the games, but there's no harm in it either. There is no harm in it. When you look at the success that we had last pre-season, and beating the likes of Chelsea and Man City, and although it was just pre-season and they put out younger teams and they were at different stages of the pre-season compared to Celtic, it's always good to go out and get good results early on in the campaign, so that it kind of sets us up for the Champions League, and especially with the Champions League qualifier. But it was John Kennedy that said that it's not entirely vital that we go out and get the results during pre-season. He said our focus is always on the physical aspect early on. He says you want to get the results early on as much about the physical aspects, returning to our game, our model, our intensities, making sure that we all get the work into the guys. That's an interesting one. I did think it was an interesting one. I'm going to go on about, obviously I spoke about it briefly this afternoon. Celtic are delighted to announce the fact that a Celtic legend is returning. And when I say legend, I mean it. Because there's not many foreigners that come into the club, and after a 9-year spell, when you think about the trophies that he won, the goals that he scored at Hampden, to be back in Hampden on that day, it was just unbelievable. And Tom Rogic is an absolute legend in Celtic eyes, and it is unbelievable that he is returning to Celtic Park. And for that alone, I did say in the video this afternoon, Tom Rogic returning should fill the seats of any Celtic Park. I don't care if it's one of those bunch of old geezers running about. I think that it's brilliant, just because he never really got a send off, did he? He never really got a send off. It was kind of, you want him to you want our legendary players, our Tom Roger like players, to get a really good send off, and I don't think that he got that. But it will be fantastic to have him back, and there was so many people want to get their pictures taken with Tom Rogic. It will be unbelievable. It will be unbelievable. But anyway, that is in September. That is the Legends game. The Legends game in September. I'm actually thinking, can I get back for that? I'll be due back at some point. The 6th of September. It's going to be a 2 p.m. Celtic Park kick-off time. There's not been much more details about who will be playing. Joe Hart is in the squad. Former England and Celtic legend Joe Hart. Is Joe Hart a legend for only being at Celtic the 3 years? Will he always go down as a legend, or will he just be one of the goalkeeper that was damn good? We got him at the end of his career, so can you really call him a Celtic legend on that behalf? I'm not too sure. Joe Hart also said about the Legends game, I'm absolutely delighted to be returning to Celtic Park for the Legends match in September. It was such an honour to finish my career with the club. I know it's just been over a year since I left Glasgow. I really can't wait to come back to play in front of those fans again. It's been brilliant to see some familiar faces, and it promises to be a great occasion. I wonder if Scott Brown will play. I wonder if Scott Brown will come back and play in that game. Tom Rogic and Scott Brown back in the midfield at Celtic together, because Scott Brown's now eligible for these games, even though he's only hung up his boots a few years ago. He's now eligible for these games, and it's going to be a fantastic day, and hopefully that it is one of those ones that fill Celtic Park, because it is all for charity and it is for a fantastic occasion. But anyway, we move on to John says, Baz, I have Tom Rogic match worn top frame for a friend of mine. Unbelievable. I just think that Tom Rogic is one of those. He scored such important goals for Celtic over the years, and it was always it was outrageous goals sometimes, absolutely outrageous goals. But anyway, right. On to more Celtic news. Fulham. We've been talking about the fact that we have been losing all our younger players. Fulham are bound to be raging every time they hear the name Celtic. When you think about the players that came to Celtic before young Osmond came. Joined Celtic today officially, even though he was at Celtic Park well over a week past Friday. He was pictured at Celtic Park. Maybe he was Celtic are just releasing the information in dribs and drabs just to maintain the newspaper coverage, as they once used to put it. It doesn't really matter anymore because it's all clicks online. But Callum Osmond got a little nod from Fulham FC this afternoon when they put out a statement. Callum Osmond has joined Celtic. The under-21 striker was offered a new contract at Fulham but has opted to join the Scottish side. Callum, who joined Fulham at the age of 13, scored 18 goals for the under-21s last season. We wish Callum the best of luck in this next chapter of his career. That's all that they put. When you go into the Twitter post, a couple of folks saying, was he a good player? Said it hundreds of times at this point, Fulham have an academy, it's a waste of time. It sounds like Celtic fans, eh? We've stole your star boy. There's no, somebody's called him a snake. Another one gets away. So it's not just a Celtic issue, is it? Oh look, a recurring pattern. Dumbelly to Celtic is just crazy horses after Dumbelly. So yeah, it's not just a Celtic issue, and it's not just a Celtic problem. I mean, there's Fulham fans. There's not many of them have commented on it. That's the Fulham Academy post, and it was retweeted. It was Fulham Academy that actually posted it, and it was retweeted by Fulham Football Club, which is interesting that they get the academy to do their own Twitter. But anyway, we move on from that. There wasn't much more said, but it was just interesting. I thought that, you know, we are complaining about a lot of our youth leaving the club to move on, and we've done it again. I mean, Fulham lost Matt O'Reilly, but he didn't go direct to Celtic. He obviously he was without football. So you must be thinking, geez, what is wrong with the Fulham Academy? But they seem to produce fantastic players, far better than anything that Celtic can produce. And they just can't keep hold of their players. But and who cares? It's going to be to Celtic's bonus. So with that, I thought there's a lot of still noise going around Nico Kuhn and Rio Hatate. But Paul Lambert has come out and spoken, and he says, do you know, it's maybe not time. You know, think twice about chasing big moves because the grass isn't greener on the other side. Kuhn has obviously been linked with RB Leipzig and Como. I think he'll end up at Como. I've just got a funny feeling about it. We're going to end up getting absolutely hammered by Como because they've got Kuhn and Alex Baye in their team, and they're just going to run rings round us, just to prove a point that they were fantastic players and they've got away for Celtic. Anyway, meanwhile, Hatate, he's been linked with Italy also, but Paul Lambert is convinced that they've not done enough to justify the big money transfer move. Rio Hatate is a player that divides opinion when it comes to Celtic fans. Personally, I don't want to chase either of them out the door, but you can only look back to what Rio Hatate has said over the last couple of years, and when you look at the body language of Nico Kuhn at certain games towards the end point of the season, the two of them seem a bit distant, as if they're just going through the motions. And are they going through the motions? Players can obviously be at a club, be a top performer, a top number one choice, but mentally just not there. Mentally they're thinking, fucking this weather's pish, fucking hate the rain, I hate the league, Do you know what I mean? And they said I would get a move by now. There's all these things that can go on in the player's head. So it got me asking the poll question for tonight. Do you think that Nico Kuhn and Rio Hatate will be sold this summer? The answers were both. 22% are on both. And 19% I said none of them will be sold. Both players will not be sold. 57% have said that Nico Kuhn will be sold. And only 1% is saying Rio Hatate has been sold. It's a bit of an open question, that, because it could be the fact that none of them are sold, could be the fact that Kuhn sold, could be the fact that both sold, could be the fact that it's only Rio sold. The thing is Celtic do have Nico Kuhn on a lengthy contract. The only one that really worries me is the Rio Hatate one. I think he does have 3 years left on his contract. So let's move on to the young striker who joined Celtic today, following in the steps of Kieran Tierney, Ross Dohan and Benji last week. Or was it this week? Can't even remember now. It was yesterday, wasn't it? God. See what happens when it's 42 degrees outside. It just fries your brain. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers is happy with the way that transfers is going, allegedly, in private and public. We'll wait and see. But what does it say for Johnny Kenny? What does it say for Adam Ida? And ultimately, are we expecting a 19-year-old striker to become first pick, first choice? It's unusual for a 19-year-old that comes into the club to walk straight into the team, especially given the comments that Brendan Rodgers always said. A player has to go on a football education. You know, he's got to do this, he's got to do that. Celtic are all good at talking the talk, but we have brought in 19-year-olds before that have been highly successful, and we've sold them on for big money. Maybe this is just Celtic doing what Celtic do best, is getting in a young asset, and then they know that he will improve at Celtic if he can score at the highest level, if he can come in and do the business in the Champions League. Celtic will really struggle to keep a hold of him. Osman's here to try and shift Adam Ida for a place for the team. Well, what happens if we do? There's still a lot of permutations to go for before. Until the window slams shut in the beginning of September, I'm still not convinced that Celtic will go into the season with Dyson Maeda as our number one striker. Until that window slams shut, way far away in the distance. We're only going into July tomorrow. We've got 2 full months of contract speculation and maybe even talks to try and keep Dyson Maeda at Celtic. And then, only then, once it gets to the end of the window, will I believe that, that he is going to be our number one striker, which means, it does mean as well, are we going to go for a change of formation? Are we going to go for a change of formation? You never know. You never know. Jay Johnson says, Baz liked the video of young Callum. I thought he sounded very positive. Yep. All the guys that have came in have given fantastic interviews. I thought the video that young Ross did, well, he's not wrong, he's 27. He's 27, for goodness sake. I thought the interview that Ross gave, very emotional, glad to be back at Celtic, grew up at Celtic. I mean, Ross has done what young Callum's done at Fulham, but he's went away and then came back. Let's just hope that if the young man is to go back to Fulham, let's hope that we sell him for 20 odd million to go back. Really says to Johnny Kenny he has no real chance if he stays. I think there has to be some kind of change this season, the way that we play. Tactically, we were found out last season. Tactically, teams know to now just sit back. I mean, I don't want to get off on a negative note when it comes to pre-season. But, the big old but. Celtic have, over the last 2 seasons, have been quite easy to work out and been quite easy to nullify on the pitch. Nothing's moving on Rio, but definitely looks like Kuhn will be gone, says Mark. There's a long way to go in the window. A long, long way. I mean, I still think that we could get to the end of the window and we might have lost Rio Hatate, Nico Kuhn and Dyson Maeda. That was my fear at the beginning of the window. And I think that let's just get to the end of September. There's a long, long way to go. Long way to go. Anyway, as it stands with the poll, 25% are saying both players will be sold. 18% are saying none. 56% are saying Nico Kuhn will be sold. And 2% are saying Rio Hatate will be sold. If you're watching this after the live event, make sure you have your say in the comments section. Let's shut that page down. And it's funny the way that Celtic they announced it. Celtic are delighted to announce the signing of highly rated striker Callum Osmond. I mean, he is getting put straight into. I mean, you've got to say as well, the 19-year-olds that are coming through the system at Celtic, who have been champing on the door. It's going to be interesting to see what other teenagers get into the first team squad come September when the window shuts, or if they'll be demoted back down to the B team, because there's a few players that are obviously have left the club that think that it should have been in and around the first team. This guy's just walking in the door. I mean, is he really 10 times better than the one and the younger players that we've got, or is it the fact that Brendan Rodgers is going, I don't want to lose any more young players. I've had to guarantee this young guy's in the first team. He's in the squad. I can't guarantee him first team football, but I can guarantee him that he's in the first team squad. Maybe that's the way that's want to go. That's had to go down. Jim McClarty says Kuhn's a one-trick pony. He's a full pack's dream. But the whole team, the way that Celtic play is a one-trick pony. Do you know, we put pressure on opposing teams under the system we played last season, which was the same system we played under Ange Postecoglou. But teams are sitting back in a 5 and a 6 now, and then they're sitting with another 4 or 5 players just in front of that, in front of the 18-yard box, and that's very difficult to break down. That's training pitch stuff, and Celtic should train to do it and to get through it. But at the same time, they always talk about pace. When they pass it back, it's to try and bring the opposing team out, to try and make the opposing team go into attack. But opposing teams in Scotland are not interested in from changing from the defensive mode that they're in to going into an attack mode. What will be interesting this season is to see how Hearts do under the management of McInnes. And the fact that they've had a big chunk of money thrown at them. It'll be interesting to see if Hearts are potentially a team that try to have a go at Celtic. It'll be interesting just to see if there's any other teams have a little change of heart. Because let's face it, Aberdeen didn't really sit back in the final, did they? They knew how Celtic would play. They also knew that we were knackered. But anyway, once teams start sussing Kuhn out, he was doomed. He was doomed. Out of Maeda, Rio and Kuhn, I'd definitely be Harper selling Kuhn. That's an interesting one. I think Benji coming in, we've got a chance to play and seen someone that runs, hopefully, the position. I mean, with Benji coming in, it definitely means that there is an opening. But was Benji brought in? There's still Balwishka issue. I mean, there could be another winger to come in before the end of the transfer market. It's all up in the air. But anyway, it's good for talking, as they say. Who's that? It's going to Villa. Yeah. Lou Barry, remember him? He was linked to Celtic before. It looks like he's going to be sold for 3.5 million and join Hull City. Interesting. Interesting. Is he really the answer though? I'm not too sure. That's another one that got away. Will it come back and haunt us? I doubt it. But anyway, right, that is me going to wrap up the polls. Had 131. Let's even get up to 150. And kneecaps in the house. That is. There's no way. Is that there? There's no way. Is that kneecap? There is no way. Is that the original? That is not. It cannot be. That's someone has just put the channel. Yep, they've got 3 subscribers. Oh, if only. If only. God, could you imagine? I'd get them on live. I'd get them on live if it was kneecap. Good one though. Good one though. Let's wrap up this 433 votes. 134. Get one more to get 135. A bit too much emphasis being made on a new striker. Only 19. Maloney was 16. McGee 18. Seem to remember. Yeah, but they came through the system. Right, just going to end that poll. Joseph says the front players this season is going to be Maida, Benji on the wing, and Maida and Benji on the wing. Adam Ida and Osman probably one more striker. Nah, Joseph. Celtic political and football don't go. My arse. Could you imagine trying to get Bob on? Do you regret anything, mate? Fuck no! Fuck the system! Yeah, seeing that he's now banned from going to America. And I could... Tyler putting the Palestine flag next to the name, but said, inappropriate. Nay do it, eh? Good old YouTube at their best. Anyway, that is a poll done and dusted. 57% said Kuhn should be sold. 24% said both will be sold. 16% said none of them will be sold. And 1% said Rio Hatate will be sold. But that's when are you doing the hacks again? Seen clips with the rabble saying they would get 20 million. I'm not doing the hacks again. Yes, Baz, your arse and politics go. Your arse and politics go. I'm just going to start a new channel and talk about politics. That'd be a laugh. Anyway, that's been done and dusted for this evening. I'm not doing hack-alongs. It's you get too many Celtic fans. Whilst it was all good, I think that the channel has to progress, and yeah, it does alienate quite a few Celtic fans for some unknown reason. Anyway, on that note, I shall see you first thing tomorrow morning. Wonder if Celtic will give us any more good news tomorrow. And I just hope it's not 42 degrees again tomorrow. Do you know that we're taking 20 litres of water out the air in the house per day through our aircon system? It's unbelievable. It's that friggin' hot. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.